When I wrote my biggest storylines piece going into the deadline day, the Cubs were one of 8 topics and the Red Sox were another. Now, let's start with the Cubs. What did they add? Mike Soroka, Andrew Kittredge for the bullpen, Taylor Rogers for the bullpen, and Willie Castro. What's missing there? A big time starting pitcher. Now, the only defense I will give the Cubs here on this particular issue is that a lot of big time starting pitchers were not traded. Dylan Cease was not traded. Zach Gallen was not traded. Sandy Alcantara was not traded. Edward Cabrera was not traded. Mitch Keller. We went through that. The prices were excessive, and evidently the Cubs did not feel it was worth meeting the price. Now, here's the problem. There are times in a franchise's evolution when a team has to overpay. The Cubs did this in 2016 when they went out and got Aroldis Chapman. What happened? They won the World Series. This might be the Cubs' only year with Kyle Tucker. Only year. He's eligible for free agency. I don't know that many of us expect the Cubs to re-sign him. In my view, this was a year in which they had to overpay. Their rotation is vulnerable, was vulnerable, and will be vulnerable. I don't see them quite in the harshest light as I do with the Red Sox. I see them in the harshest light, but this was a disappointment in terms of not getting the starting pitcher that so many of us thought they needed to get. And again, there's the caveat where not many of the good starting pitchers were even moved.
Yeah, you brought up the Red Sox. Let's bring it up because the fans are clamoring. They did nothing. They got Steven Matz. They got Dustin May. That is not enough, Ken Rosenthal, especially when the Yankees doing what they're doing. Ken, don't tell me Red Sox only got his says Justin May, but it is Dustin May or right-handed hitter TV Diaz. I mean, they did nothing. This is a massive disappointment for the Red Sox and their fan base.
Epic fail. Comes off an epic fail last year's deadline with Craig Breslow, and this was an epic fail as well. Now, again, they met the same problem that the Cubs ran into. Joe Ryan is another starting pitcher who wasn't traded, but my understanding is any talks that they had with the Twins were feeble at best. They didn't come at them hard. The Red Sox are one of many teams that uses modeling and tries to figure out what the best values are, and it's all about efficiency and getting the best deal and this and that and the other thing. At some point, you've got to fire. It's the same thing we're saying with the Cubs. And they did not even address first base, which I know they've gotten decent work out of Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro, but my goodness, that was a position where they had to act. They tried for Suarez, Eugenio Suarez, and they tried with the idea of playing him at first base, didn't get him. Didn't get a starter other than Dustin May, who has not been a very successful starter for the Dodgers. And in their bullpen with Steven Matz, he's a swing guy. He can be effective, but my goodness, they needed more. This is a team that is on the rise. And again, they may say, oh, we're going to be better next year. Our young guys will be that much better. Yeah, that's what the Orioles were saying a year ago. There is no guarantee in this sport or any other. So the Red Sox, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And there's going to be some people in Boston, a lot of people in Boston, questioning what the heck they did.
Yeah, they did nothing. And I can tell you, living in this area, that you should listen to the sports talk radio right now in the Boston area about what they did not do as far as the trade deadline is concerned. Let's talk about the NL Central. Again, we mentioned that the Cubs didn't do much, but what about the Brewers? Did the Brewers even discuss a trade for a bat? Shelby Miller is a nice low-key bullpen addition, but feel they needed a bat. This is from D-Train Riot Maker. What is your take on what the Brew Crew did or did not do?
First of all, Shelby Miller is, I believe, still on the injured list. He's coming back, but who knows what he'll be. So as far as that being their big bullpen addition when other teams were loading up on relievers left and right, not impressed. Also not impressed that they didn't get another bat. Listen, it's hard to criticize them. They make the most of what they have. They do a wonderful job. And my goodness, the team that they've put out there this year, it's fun, it's exciting, and it's successful. But it seems to me that more effort was needed. And this is another team you look at and you wonder if there was an opportunity lost. And the good news for the Cubs is that the Brewers didn't go crazy. Not that they were ever going to go crazy, but these two teams, when compared now to the Padres, to the Mets, who got Helsley and Tyler Rogers and Cedric Mullins, to the Phillies, who got Joan Duran and Harrison Bader, to the Padres, of course, we've discussed them, and of course the Dodgers, the mighty Dodgers. Not looking so good. Not looking good at all.
And the Dodgers didn't do much either. Now, is that because they felt going into the season they were going to do everything in the offseason going into 2025, and they're just hoping that their biggest addition at this trade deadline is Blake Snell coming back and their guys getting healthy? What do you make of the lack of movement? I mean, Brock Stewart, okay, whatever. They trade James Outman, but what do you make of it?
This was the plan. And they were not going to go crazy at the deadline. They never wanted to go crazy at the deadline. That's why they spent all that money. The question I have with the Dodgers is they're expecting all of this to come together. For Snell to be healthy, for Shohei to stay healthy, for maybe Sasaki to come back, for their bullpen to get healed and whole, and then for their hitters who are struggling, or at least not performing to the way they have in the past, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and others, they expect it all to come together. There's no guarantee of that. That's my concern with them. And Alana, I want to go back to not just the Dodgers here, because the Dodgers clearly are trying to win the World Series. We know that. But the goal of every team should be to win the World Series. And the teams that didn't go all out, that's the question I have for them. The contenders. Are you trying to win the World Series? Even the Tigers. Now, I didn't love their bullpen moves. Kyle Finnegan was one. Paul Sewald was another. I felt they needed more swing and miss. But they also acquired Chris Paddock and then Charlie Morton for the rotation. Okay, it's modest, relatively speaking, but it's not bad. And it reinforces what has been their strength, the pitching. Are they going all out? No, but at least they're making moves to try to win the World Series. Some of these other teams are not looking at it like that, and that's the problem. I know the playoffs are random. I know with an expanded postseason, they're even more random, but the goal of this sport should be to be the last team standing. I don't know that enough teams look at it that way.